Hi, we had a couple of glitches and I am back. I finally figured out how to get this thing off the video. It was frustrating, but that's life. I'm determined to present this talk, so here I am, and we're going to talk about contempt, the silent relationship killer. Welcome, welcome. I am Allison Vanilla. I am an LCSW, a licensed clinical social worker, private practice psychotherapist, actually retired psychotherapist, and now I am a work-life balance relationship coach. So I'm here to bring you some information about how to have healthy relationships. And today I want to talk to you about contempt. Contempt is a big word. A lot of people think they know what it is, and some people aren't sure. But I want you to know that it is a deadly relationship killer. Let me start off by asking you this question. Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt the person you were in that relationship with was looking down on you? They were superior to you. You were nothing. They were everything. And if that has been your experience, first of all, let me say I'm sorry, because that should never be the case in any healthy relationship. But if it was, just kind of put a 1 in the comment. Put a 1 if you've ever had that relationship. And put a 2 if you haven't had that personally as your relationship, but you know others who've had that kind of a relationship. Maybe you grew up in a household where you saw that relationship displayed amongst the adults. Or maybe you work with someone, or you have a friend or a relative, and you see they're in that kind of a relationship where, one or the other looks down on their partner. Well, when you see that kind of relationship there's big chance that it's not just criticism or anything like that. It's something called contempt. And I want to share a little bit more about that with you today. But before we go any further, again, I introduced myself before. I am Allison Vanilla, and I'm an LCSW, and I really want to welcome you to my channel. So we're going to talk about contempt from a standpoint of some biblical examples. One of the things I love is that even though things come up in today's literature, I love that when I look back, I could see some of those things were addressed many, many years ago. They're addressed in the Bible. And I'm going to show you 3 examples of what contempt could look like. And I'm not going to use anything prominent, anything that's going on today with clients or anything. As a matter of fact, I want to put a disclaimer on the screen. I'm using all my little bells and whistles here, which is what got me into trouble in the first place. But I want to put this on the screen. Let's see if I could get it on the screen. Do I have to take myself off the stage? I don't know. Let's see. There we go. I want you to note that any examples shared are composites of multiple experiences and do not represent any one individual. Details have been modified to protect privacy and confidentiality. Identifying details, descriptive characteristics, circumstances, and other information have been That's my little disclaimer there. But actually, I really don't even need it for this talk, because for this talk, we are really just going to be talking about biblical characters. So if anything, I'm putting their business out there, and I'm not putting anybody else's business out there, which I don't ever do anyhow. But I think it's always good that when you're talking about something that you have some kind of example, something to look at. Sometimes I'll reference a movie or something too. All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit about contempt. And I want to, let's see, I had a video. This is a short clip of a larger video that I will put the link for the larger video in here.
Contempt is an expression of superiority that comes out as sarcasm, cynicism, name-calling, eye-rolling, sneering, mockery, and hostile humor. Contempt is the greatest predictor of relationship failure and must be eliminated. The antidote to contempt is to treat one another with respect and build a culture of appreciation within the relationship. Defensiveness is self-protection.
That is all I wanted to show you. It's a larger video, and I'm going to put the link on there. I think I do have the link loaded up so that you could, if you want to check it out, you could see the whole thing. Well, what I want to do is, give me a second. Sorry, I had to take myself off the stage for a minute because I had a little bit of interruption. Okay, I'm going to be stuttering a little bit because I think I'm a little bit nervous. It started off kind of rough with me, not for those of you who are coming in late or seeing this on replay. It started off with a little bit of technological glitches, but I'm back on. So here's a link to the short video that I just played for you. All right, so that would give you a little bit of an idea of what contempt is all about and what it looks like. Where do I want to go next? Ooh, well, let's see. Where do I want to go next? I want to go ahead and really talk a little bit about that little clip was part of a larger video by Doctors John and Julie Gottman, and they are relationship researchers. And they did research and they saw contempt as the largest predictor of relationship failure and divorce. Now, I'm a work-life balance, healthy relationship coach. So when I talk about relationships, I tend to talk about it a little bit broader than just the romantic relationships. My belief is that we're all in relationships, even if they're not romantic relationships. You have relationships on your job, you have family relationships. So even if you don't have a partner relationship, you can still be invested in having a healthy relationship with your friends, family, peers, colleagues, all the relationships that you have. And contempt can be felt in other relationships too. So I'd like you to also broaden your understanding of what the contempt is, even though we'll be talking about it mainly in marital relationships. Okay, so the idea behind contempt is when you are in a contemptuous kind of relationship, it's not that two people disagree. It's not that the person says that I disagree with you. It's they say that I'm actually better than you. So they pretty much diminish you. They discard your opinions, discard your thoughts, your feelings. That there's no worth or value to it. It's pretty harsh. One of the things that I want to talk about is we are in those kind of relationships, we really cannot flourish. If you're in that kind of relationship that when you communicate with somebody, they're always diminishing you, they're always disregarding your thoughts and your feelings, then you're not going to flourish in a relationship like that. You want a relationship of equals. You want a relationship where people value your input, value what you have to bring to it. All right, let's get into this a little bit more. I mentioned Gottman's research. I mentioned that he would talk about criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling. I think I want to do this. Yeah, stonewalling and contempt. And contempt is what we're going to look at. Now, what contempt could look like, it could look like eye rolling, sarcasm. Now, a lot of times sarcasm can be so humorous and it gets dismissed because there's a little element of humor, but there's a little bit of a sting behind it. It could look like ridicule, mocking the person. That's very embarrassing when you're being mocked. Or it could look like pure disgust. I just don't even value you. You're so below me. Sometimes it gets a little bit more aggressive into name calling or, public embarrassment, but also just that sense of dismissiveness. Any of those things can be an aspect, any and all of those things. And many times it's not just one thing, it's several things. And the idea behind idea behind contempt is that it's continuous, it's chronic. It's not that one joke. It's over and over. It's everything that you do gets to the point where the person's dismissing you. That is not sustainable in a healthy relationship. So let's talk about one of our first characters. I said we're going to explore two characters. Let's explore Michal. All right, so there's a lot here, and I'm not going to read all of this for you, but note that it comes from 2 Samuel chapter 6, verses 16 through 20. But the things that are significant is verse 16, where it says, she despised him in her heart. That's Michal, who is wife of David. That's his first wife. She was Saul's daughter. And what happened is that how he came back triumphant, and he's dancing and singing in the street with the people. He went out to war. He came back home triumphant. And they're having a good old street party. And he's dancing and he's singing and he's, breaking bread with his fellow soldiers. And they're having a good old time. And she looks out and she sees him doing this, leaping and dancing. And she's despising him. She just doesn't like what she sees. So the second part that you want to look at is down in verse 20, where it says, this is what she says to him, how the king of Israel has distinguished himself today, going around half naked in full view of the slave girls and his servants, as any vulgar fellow would. Did you hear that? Did you hear the contempt? As any vulgar fellow would. She is berating him for running around, in her words, half naked with all the servants and the slave girls as just a commoner. Now she's the king's daughter. She's now married to David, who is a prominent soldier, and he's going to be king one day. And she's basically, she's above this. This is not something that she's willing to tolerate. And she lets him know. She lets him know. And that's the thing about contempt. Contempt doesn't work unless you let the person know how much you feel like they're below you. You have to belittle them. You have to let them know that you really do not value them. Now, here's the deal with Michal. Michal was never recorded as having any children with David. David had many children with his other wives, but he didn't have any with Michal. And I just wonder if maybe, did David really not want to be close to her after that? When you have somebody who looks down on you, when you have somebody who dismisses you like that, how can you build closeness? How can you build intimacy? The truth is you can't. And, I think it's telling that she did not have any children with David, because once the respect disappears, so does the affection. You can't feel affectionate to someone who just absolutely despises you. All right, so let's see. Where do I have my information about the other ladies? As I said, I had to restart this whole thing, so let me see if I could find the information about the others. So the next person we want to talk about is Jezebel. Okay, who remembers Jezebel? Okay, Jezebel. Oh, wait a second. That was Michal. We already did Michal, so I'm going to not do Michal again. Let's find Jezebel. I know I had an image for her. Did I get it mixed up, maybe? No, I did. It's not the right one. Here it is. No. Okay. So we have several issues here. Oh no, this is Jezebel. Okay. I don't know why it says Michael on the top of it. All right, so I goofed. Okay, so this is the story about Jezebel. Let me get that fully on the screen here for you. There we go. That's Jezebel. Okay, so Jezebel, I think most people are familiar with the story about Jezebel. She was Ahab's wife, King Ahab's wife. Another very powerful woman. She was also a daughter of another king, and Ahab married her. Let me put myself back on the screen while we talk. Okay, let's get me back on the screen here. Yeah, so she was, back to the story. Ahab wanted this field, and the field was owned by this guy named Naboth. And he asked very nicely, pretty please, can I get your field? And the guy said, no, I it belongs to my family and I like it and I don't want to share it and I don't want to sell it to you and I don't want to give it to you. And what did Ahab do? Being the man that he is, he went home sulking. And his bride, Jezebel, just couldn't stand the fact that he was sulking. She was kind of like, oh my gosh, get a grip, just go take the field. So what did she do? She found a way to manipulate so that she could get the field from him. Okay, let's see. Okay, what did I just do there? Okay. Okay, so she found a way to manipulate so that she could get the field from him. All right, let's see. That's what the problem was. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to look at the fact that I saw something this morning. This is so scattered. I apologize. But I saw something this morning that I thought was so interesting. It says, men will intimidate, women will manipulate, all in an attempt to dominate. And when I look at this, I thought of her. She manipulated because her husband was not able to intimidate this guy to give him the field. So she manipulated so that she could get the field for him. But one of the things that's interesting is she got the field for him, but she got the field for him by basically saying you're a wuss. You're not a real good man. Are you even a king? So you could go ahead and read that in 1 Kings 21. I'm not going to try and get it on the screen again. This is a disaster getting things on the screen. So then she takes control and she gets this field from him, but she does a lot of behind the scene tactics that she manipulates. What we're seeing here is, not what she did, the bad stuff she did to other people, it's how she treated her husband. Yes, he was disappointed. Yes, he was down. But she didn't have to, kick him while he's down and make him feel even worse. And she did. She kind of basically said, you're incapable. You can't do it. Move aside. Let me do it for you. And she did. And she got that field for him. She was able to get it done. All right, the last person we want to talk about is Job's wife. Okay, let's see if I can get that on the screen. This is getting really interesting here. Let's see if I can get that on the screen. Let me get this off the screen. And let me see if I can get this one on the screen. Let's see how that goes. Okay, no. There we go. Job's wife. Okay, if you're familiar with the story of Job, he went through a lot. He was going through a lot. And there his wife says to him at his deepest, most hurtful moment, she says, are you still maintaining your integrity? You need to just go ahead and curse God and die. Now, the thing is, who sees their partner down and says, you know what, you might as well just die, because you're not gonna be able to resolve this. This is not encouraging words. All right. Now I do have to say, Job's wife was going through a lot too. She had a lot of grief and a lot of loss. And sometimes in a situation where people are displaying contempt, some of the contempt is due to reasons of their own emotional baggage. They're going through stuff themselves. And basically they don't have enough to give to you because they barely have enough for themselves. So sometimes when you see that, you have to give a lot of grace, and recognize that, she wasn't managing her own despair well enough to be able to handle his despair. So there is another example of contempt. She didn't have enough faith for herself, and she certainly couldn't sustain him. All right, so what do I mean to say in this kind of jumbled manner? I mean to say that when people are displaying contempt, it could come from a very mean and horrible place, or it could just come from this place where they can't even manage their own emotions, much less support you in your own. And unfortunately, when relationships have one partner who is being contemptuous, who's displaying the sarcasm, the meanness, the belittling language, it doesn't bode well for the relationship. All right, I'm going to end it here. I've been on for over 20 minutes now, and there are good things that we could do to help in our situation where there is contempt. I'm not going to do it today because, frankly, I'm a little bit flustered by all the technology issues, and I need to figure out how to work this a little bit better so this is not as jumbled up. I thank you for those who visited, and I thank you for those who are going to visit on replay. And I hope you got some value on it. Think about your relationships. Are you the person who's displaying contempt? Are you the person who's receiving contempt? Or are you maybe the person who's observing a contemptuous relationship? And you worry for the people involved. Maybe it's family members, and you know that it's not a sign of health. One of the things you could do is maybe you could talk to them about it. You could talk to them about the fact that, the sarcasm, it's not funny anymore. You could talk to them about lifting each other up, because in the short term, not great, but, not the worst. But in the long term, it is corrosive to your relationships. Think about contempt and why it's dangerous. That contemptuous language is just reinforcing messages that says that person is beneath you, that they regret being in a relationship with you. Again, you could expand this to work situations. I mean, if somebody's contemptuous to you, maybe they regret hiring you, they regret working with you. I could say, without the words, I could say, you're disgusting to me. The person who's in that contemptuous relationship feels a lack of safety. They don't feel any friendship, any admiration. They feel lost. So it's a very sad situation. If you are in a contemptuous relationship, get some help. If you know somebody who is in one, get some help. If you are the person who struggles with being contemptuous, get some help. First, be aware of it, and then address it in a reasonable manner so that you and the people who interact with you will have healthy relationships with you and with each other. All right, that's all I got to say on this subject. I see I have one comment here, and thank you so much. I appreciate that. That I could at least look at, see that I saw a comment and I addressed it. I appreciate it. Let me say there will be a part 2, and it will be better. Come back, because I don't want it to be a negative. I want to end on a positive. But as I said, I was a bit flustered because of how long it took for me to get the technology together. But that's okay. It's a work in progress, and I appreciate you visiting again, live or in replay. If you visit in replay, Remember, we that's how we get better. We get better by trying. All right. Thank you all, and I think I will end this live stream here. Catch me for the next one. Get subscribed, put on notification, and the next one will be even better. This is Allison Bonello. Thank you. If you found value in today's live stream, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment of wisdom, strategy, or real talk. Want even more? I drop content regularly over on Substack, devotionals, insights, and practical tools to keep you grounded and growing. The link is in the description, so be sure to check it out and subscribe there too. Thank you again for hanging out with me. Until next time, stay focused, stay faithful, and keep showing up.